The autumn rain tapped gently against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Marcus Sterling's corner office on the 42nd floor. He sat behind his mahogany desk, staring out at the city below, where tiny umbrellas dotted the sidewalks like scattered flower petals. The weight of the impending business deal pressed down on his shoulders like a heavy coat he couldn't remove. Sterling Industries had been his life's work. What started as a small tech startup in his garage had grown into a multinational, a corporation worth billions. But now, at 35, Marcus found himself facing the biggest challenge of his career. The Yamamoto Group, a traditional Japanese conglomerate, was considering a merger that would expand his company into Asian markets. The deal would secure his legacy and provide jobs for thousands of employees. There was just one problem. Hiroshi Yamamoto, the elderly patriarch who still made all major decisions, believed strongly in family values and personal stability. During their preliminary meetings, he had expressed concern about Marcus's bachelor status, viewing it as a sign of instability and lack of commitment. In Japanese business culture, a man without a family was often seen as unreliable in long-term partnerships. Marcus rubbed his temples, feeling the familiar tension headache building. His assistant had mentioned that Mr. Yamamoto would be bringing his wife and daughter to the upcoming dinner meeting, expecting to meet Marcus's fiancée. The problem was, Marcus didn't have one. His dedication to building his empire had left little time for meaningful relationships. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called, turning from the window. Sarah Chen entered the office with her usual quiet confidence. She had been his executive assistant for 3 years, and in that time she had become indispensable. Where others saw only efficiency, Marcus had begun to notice the small details that made Sarah remarkable. The way she remembered everyone's coffee preferences, how she always had a kind word for the cleaning staff, and her ability to remain calm in even the most chaotic situations. "The quarterly reports are ready for your review," Sarah said, placing a neat stack of documents on his desk. She wore a simple navy dress that complemented her dark hair, which she had pulled back in a professional bun. Behind her wire-rimmed glasses, her brown eyes held an intelligence and warmth that Marcus found increasingly difficult to ignore. "Sarah," he began, then paused. The idea forming in his mind was either brilliant or completely insane. "I need to ask you something unusual." She tilted her head slightly, a gesture he had come to recognize as her listening pose. "Of course, Mr. Sterling. The Yamamoto deal," he said slowly, "depends on more than just numbers and projections. Mr. Yamamoto values family stability, and he's expecting to meet my fiancée at Thursday's dinner." Sarah's eyebrows rose slightly. "Your fiancée? I wasn't aware you were engaged." "I'm not." Marcus stood and walked to the window, gathering his courage. "That's the problem. Sarah, I know this sounds crazy, but would you consider pretending to be my fiancée for one evening? Just for the dinner meeting?" The silence stretched between them like a bridge neither was sure they should cross. When Marcus finally turned around, Sarah was studying him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "You're asking me to lie to important business partners," she said carefully. "I'm asking you to help me save this company," Marcus replied. "This deal will secure the future for everyone who works here, including you." Sarah was quiet for a long moment, her fingers absently straightening the papers on his desk. "What would it involve exactly?" "Just one dinner. You would need to play the part of someone who knows me well, someone who cares about me. We would need to create a believable story about how we met, how long we've been together." Marcus felt his cheeks warm. "I know it's asking a lot." "It is asking a lot," Sarah agreed. Then, to his surprise, she smiled. "But I've seen how hard you've worked on this deal, and I know what it means to everyone here. I'll do it." The relief that flooded through Marcus was unexpected in its intensity. "Really? Thank you, Sarah. I don't know how to. We'll need to go shopping, she interrupted practically, and spend some time together so we can create a convincing backstory. If we're going to do this, we need to do it right. The next few days passed. In the blur of preparation, Marcus found himself seeing Sarah in a completely different light as they crafted their fictional romance. They decided they had been secretly dating for 8 months, having connected over their shared love of old movies and hiking. As they rehearsed their story over coffee and walks through the city, Marcus discovered that these details weren't entirely fictional. Sarah did love classic films, and she had mentioned wanting to try hiking. Thursday evening arrived with crisp autumn air and clear skies. Marcus waited in the lobby of the elegant restaurant, adjusting his tie nervously. When the elevator doors opened and Sarah stepped out, his breath caught in his throat. She had traded her usual conservative work attire for a stunning emerald, a dress that brought out the warmth in her brown eyes. Her hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders, and she wore just enough makeup to highlight her natural beauty. But it wasn't the transformation in her appearance that struck him most. It was the confident, radiant smile she wore, as if she were genuinely happy to see him. "You look beautiful," he said, offering his arm. "Thank you," she replied, slipping, her hand through his elbow. "Are you ready for this?" The dinner went better than Marcus had dared to hope. Sarah charmed the Yamamoto family effortlessly, speaking knowledgeably about art when Mrs. Yamamoto mentioned her gallery visits and patiently answering their daughter's questions about American culture. She told their rehearsed story of how they met with such warmth and detail that even Marcus found himself believing it. But it was the small, unrehearsed moments that truly sold their performance. The way Sarah automatically reached over to straighten his napkin, how she laughed genuinely at his stories, even the ones she had heard him tell in business meetings, the natural way she included him in conversations, her hand occasionally finding his arm in casual, affectionate gestures. As the evening progressed, Marcus realized something that both thrilled and terrified him. He wasn't acting anymore. The feelings he was displaying, the way he looked at Sarah, the pride in his voice when he spoke about her, it was all real. "Your fiancée is a remarkable woman," Mr. Yamamoto said quietly to Marcus, during a moment when Sarah was showing his daughter photos on her phone. "She has a kind heart. This is more important than any business plan." That night, as Marcus walked Sarah to her car, they were both quiet. The performance was over, but neither seemed eager to break character completely. "Thank you," Marcus said as they reached her car. "You were incredible tonight. I think we actually pulled it off." Sarah turned to face him, and in the soft glow of the streetlights, he could see something new in her expression. "Marcus," she said softly, "can I tell you something?" "Of course. Tonight wasn't entirely an act for me." She looked down at her hands, then back up at him. "These past few days, getting to know you outside of work, seeing how you care about your employees, how you remember small details about people's lives, I realized that the person I was pretending to be in love with is someone I could actually fall for." Marcus felt his heart skip. "Sarah, I know this complicates things," she continued quickly. "I know mixing business with personal feelings is complicated, but—" He stepped closer, gently taking her hands in his. "Sarah, I need to tell you something too. Somewhere between planning this evening and watching you charm the Yamamoto family, I stopped pretending as well. What I felt tonight, what I feel right now, it's real." The kiss that followed was gentle and tentative, full of promise and new possibilities. 6 months later, at their real engagement party, Marcus would tell the gathered crowd that sometimes the best business deals aren't just about money and market shares. Sometimes they're about finding something more valuable than you ever knew you were looking for. And Sarah, laughing beside him with her left hand displaying a simple but elegant diamond ring, would add that sometimes the best partnerships are the ones that start with trust and grow into love. The Yamamoto deal had gone through, of course, but both Marcus and Sarah knew that the real success story was just beginning.